Facebook. I forgot to click the button there. Okay, now we're live there. Howdy. Okay, we're howdy there and a howdy there. All right, good morning. Okay, so we're back on YouNow and Facebook with the Q&A session right here. Live 21 seconds, so we'll wait for a few minutes to have this puppy populate and see if that works for us there. And let's see, on YouNow, I'm number 10 on Ask Questions, so it's going to take us a little while to go ahead and ask your questions. Are you a pastor of the church? Hammond T. Yes, I'm a pastor of a church. I have pastored and then am in the process of planting a new mission. So that's a good question. Thank you very much. Yes. The answer to that question is yes. All right, any other questions? Hello, Catherine Therese. Hello, Helen Alexander. God bless you. Good morning. I am broadcasting on YouNow and on where am I at? I'm on YouNow and on Facebook Live, so I'm trying to watch both chat deals at the same time. Yeah, I know it's pretty bold and ambitious. So, Hamoudi T, Hamoudi, I don't know how to pronounce your name. I'm a person, I have no doubt at all. You are a person. I believe you. Okay, does the Roman Catholic Church acknowledge me? Do they acknowledge me? I don't know. What does that mean? Hey, Dustin. Here's the deal about me and the Roman Catholic Church. I mean, yeah, they acknowledged me. I went to my my son's confirmation, and yes, they acknowledged me. I do not celebrate with the Roman Church. I'm not in communion with the Roman Catholic Church. All right, so I'm not Roman Catholic. But do they acknowledge me? Do they acknowledge the old Catholics? Yeah, they do. So, and do I receive communion when I go to the Roman Catholic Church? I do. No, that's okay. I'm sorry. It's just It's okay. It's a common question. They say, "Well, you're old Catholic. Does that mean that you're Roman Catholic?" No, I'm not. Am I in communion with the Roman Catholic Church? No. Do I have a great amount of respect for Pope Francis and for those saints of the Roman Catholic Church? Absolutely, I do. Do I have disdain for those who are just political puppet heads in any church? Yeah, I do. Do I have issues with those who are arrogant? Oh boy, I do. Do I admire those who are out there serving and loving God and hating the devil and things like that? Yeah, I'm also. If I do not forbid those who are doing the work of the Lord, because if they are not against me, they're for me. That's kind of the scripture that we read this morning. So, have you stayed in Lakeland most of your life? Most of my life, yes. I lived in Oklahoma. You know Oklahoma, right? It's right next to Arkansas. Little humor, very little. But I've lived in Tampa, lived in Kissimmee area, but mostly here in Lakeland. So, any other questions? Yeah, and Sister Catherine Therese, don't worry. I didn't mean to, like I was offended that if they acknowledge me. They don't. Sorry about that. Forgive me if I was like, being an old Catholic, here's the thing. It's like you're in between. You are both sides. Sometimes if they're negative, they'll take pot shots at you. If you are and then, I mean, sometimes they treat you like second-class citizens. Then some people don't care. They're just out there doing the work of the ministry. So it just all depends who it is, right? It's all political at that point. Okay. No, I know. You're fine. You're fine. How can I stop thinking that the world is no longer what? How can I stop thinking that the world is no longer room for all? The world is full of hatred. It is full of hatred. It is also full of love. Okay? And I find that what you focus on, that's what is the biggest at the time. So if you are surrounding yourself by reading the newspaper and watching TV and the news, which they bring out the sensationalization of the bad stuff, mostly, right? And the conflict, because that is the stuff that sells. So, however, if you are involved in a community of faith and you are feeding the hungry, you're helping the poor, that you're having fellowship one with another, then you'll find out that the world is a beautiful place. We are called to, as Christians, we are called to occupy. But this world is not our home. Our New Jerusalem is from above. And I still can't remember what Father Thomas Hopko said the other day. Was it St. Gregory of Nazianzus that was just going off on all these pilgrimages? He said, listen, you guys want to go to the Holy Land? You want to go to Jerusalem? That's not your Jerusalem. That's not your holy city. The holy city is the one that's from above. We have a kingdom that is coming, the New Jerusalem. We need to get our sights off of those earthly things, and we need to start living in the Spirit. Anyway, so that does that make sense? So, what does being in communion mean? Basically, in a sense, meaning in communion means that you're, this is a bad example, but it's the only one I can think of at the time. You know how like you have a credit card? You have a Visa or MasterCard or American Express. Well, if some stores will take Visa, but they won't take MasterCard, or they won't take, and some will take American Express. In communion, it's like, okay, well, we'll take that card, right? Now, that doesn't say that your cards are the card's bad, that we don't take this card. It's just that we don't take that. Communion means that there's this certain amount of unity on doctrine, that the church has said, yes, our belief system is the same. So like the Eastern Orthodox, and they're in communion with one another. That means a priest from the OCA, the Orthodox Catholic Church in America, can celebrate with a priest from the Russian Orthodox Church or the Greek Orthodox Church or something like that. So because they have the same faith. The Church of Rome, the Roman Catholic, that split is still there because there are some major fundamental differences in belief. Even though they acknowledge each other as brothers, they are not in full communion because of some of these belief differences. And they are rather strong on both sides. So they're not in communion. Even though the Pope is working for it and the Ecumenical Patriarch and others are, that's the deal. Hey, Rick. Hey, it's Rick. What's up, Rick? Good to see you. We've been talking about you. Were your ears burning? You know what? I've been watching this show called Midsummer Murders. I know it's probably a bad show to watch, but I found out this. Hey, they're having a row. Do you know what a row is? No, you're fine. Asking questions is part of what we're doing. I'm talking on both Facebook and YouNow at the same time. So if you have a question, just no problem. So anyway, I found out what a row. Man, those guys had a row. I'm like, what in the world's a row? Anyway, it's pretty funny. I mean, we don't say that over here. And So some of the time, the way that you English guys talk is not the English we use, man. Of course, you knew that. It's an argument. Yeah, me and this other priest had a row the other day. No, I'm just kidding. So, yeah, I thought you might be. I know just because of the name. Your name wasn't like John or Fred or Sam. So, and that's okay. I've got a Muslim friend that's over on the YouNow chat. He just told me that he was Muslim, and I don't have a problem if you're Muslim or Buddhist or Hindu, or it's not my problem. You know, I'm going to encourage you to accept Christ, okay? Because I'm a Catholic priest, all right. But I love you too. I don't know you. I mean, it's hard to say I love you without knowing you. But you know, my heart is open to all, and I live at peace with everyone as much as possible. Isn't that right? Okay, I'm an Anglican Catholic, and myself and Father Wade could share an altar. We share a lot more in common than what separates us. That's right. That is right. So, yeah, Dustin is correct on that deal there. So, let's see. Any other questions? It's about 9:40. I tell you all to be aware of who you're talking with. Well, I'm you know, I take it that anytime that, you know, when I'm doing social media like this, I'm broadcasting, I get people from all backgrounds that come in the room. I mean, atheists, agnostics. And the deal is that some people are, as long as people are polite and are staying on cue, then that's a different story. You know, doesn't that make sense? You know, like if somebody starts to hijack the conversation from which I'm doing, since I'm the host, I control the conversation. If somebody tries to hijack that, then I'll say, please, we're not going in that direction. But anybody is welcome as we're chatting here. So I'm answering questions. So any other questions? My son just sent me a text. Look at that. See that? Where's that? My son just sent me a text. Isn't that cool? I love you too, son. So I'm really a father because I do have a son. Just, you know. All right. So any other questions? Let me make sure that my screen, okay. Bishop Tony Palmer, he was a bishop in my church who has a video of him and Pope Francis speaking about this. Tony Palmer, is he down in Argentina? It's on YouTube. My jurisdiction has permission to work with the Catholic Charismatic Movement, and we meet with the Pope every year. Well, that's pretty cool, Dustin. That's awesome. Permission to work with the Catholic Charismatic Movement. God bless you. That sounds good. Yeah, I got to play the keyboards there at one of the big Icarus, the International Charismatic Catholic Renewal Services, and that was a riot. I mean, it was great. It was good. That takes pop. Yes, raw. How is it possible to be a Catholic priest but not in communion with them? Well, the word, how's a good answer for that? Catholics, and well, gosh, how am I going to answer that question? The question is, how is it possible to be a Catholic priest but not be in communion with them? Well, there are over 23 different Catholic churches. The big one is the Roman Catholic Church, but that's not that's only one of many of the Catholic churches. And I know that freaks everybody out, but it's like Xerox. Okay, remember the copy machine? Hey, would you go make me a Xerox copy of that? And they go up to the machine and it says Samsung or Fujitsu or Brother. Or it's kind of like Kleenex. Somebody says, hey, get me a Kleenex, and they go up there and it's made by Scott or somebody else. It's a different brand. But it's facial tissue. It's just branded. The Roman Catholic Church has dominated And they're the brand name that's out there, and that's why that you have more people familiar with the Western Roman Catholic Church. All right? Does that make sense? And yes, Catholic, the part of being Catholic is that, and Dustin is correct on there, with part of apostolic succession, that, I've got the apostolic succession going right back to the early apostles, where the bishop that laid his hands on me was anointed by a bishop who was anointed by a bishop all the way back until to the apostles. So we have apostolic succession. There's some other people that have apostolic succession that are totally Looney Tunes as well, so that doesn't mean everything, but you keep with the faith. Okay, let's see. All right, okay, what's going on here over on this other side? Do you watch the news and recent events in the Middle East? No, it's always the same. Thoughts on Craig Mack? Don't know who Craig Mack is. Let's see. You look like someone who believes in God, and whoever, don't you kill them. Are you talking to me, Samantha? Do I look like someone who believes in God and who don't ever kill them? Yeah, I don't understand what you're saying there. I'm not out to kill anybody. I'm only out to crucify myself, Dying with Christ, that's what we're called to. Picking up my cross and following Christ. Death to the world, which doesn't mean death to human beings. It means that world system. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I totally get the entire thing. Great explanation. Are you saying that about my Xerox and Kleenex analogy about the church there? So you're welcome. See, again, in early Christianity, remember, there was only, for the first 1,000 years, there was basically only one church. And I say basically because in the year 500, at the Council of Chalcedon, there was a split where the right there, because of, and they say that it's more because of language and understanding, but there was a split in the church around the year, 500 or so, that these guys, the Coptics and I think the Armenians, they did not agree with the Chalcedonian believers and the nature of Christ, that Jesus was 100% God, 100% man, without being divided, but being perfectly united. And so they had issues over that, so they broke off communion. So the Coptic Orthodox are a little different than the Eastern Orthodox. They're called the Oriental Orthodox. And it might just be a theology thing, I don't know. But basically, for the first 1,000 years, there was only one church, and anybody else was a heretic. Until 1054, or that time, when officially the Roman Catholic Church sent a letter of excommunication to the Patriarch in Constantinople, which was one of the centers of Christianity, and the Patriarch of Constantinople sent one back to them and said, no, we excommunicate you because you have added to the creed and you have done certain things that are not in line with the teaching of the fathers. And so you had this big church split. And then they said that, we have agreed that the Pope in Rome is to be called the first among equals, as it's an honorary position, but never was one man meant to rule over all of Christendom. All right? And there was the argument over that. And so the universal jurisdiction of the Pope of Rome is not accepted by the Coptic Orthodox nor the Oriental Orthodox. So there's where you have a split going on there. And see, that's all a power play. And if you study that stuff, how political it was back then. And then the communication. So anyway, it's a mess. So that's why I try to keep focused on the local level, and I try to work with anybody that needs help. I mean, we're called to preach Christ and Him crucified. I'm called to preach the message of salvation and the resurrection. And these guys that want to get off on this other stuff, God bless them, go with them. I want to avoid those as much as I can. That makes sense. All right, and Dustin, yes, Catholic does mean universal. It also means whole or complete. So that where the bishop is, there's the Catholic Church. So when you have a body, a church gathered together, and again, the idea was that because of the unity of the faith, that there was only supposed to be one bishop or one overseer for a community. And that means that that there was only one church. And that if you did anything apart from the bishop, you were out of communion. I mean, you were on your own, if that makes sense. All right, any other questions? Dave Armstrong. I don't know who Dave Armstrong is. Who is Dave Armstrong? I don't know who Craig Mack is, and I don't know who Dave Armstrong is. If he's preaching the cross and the resurrection, then I guess he's okay. You know, where is he? I don't know who Dave Armstrong is. So I hope he's a good guy. And, that's good. When I say I hope he's a good guy, I assume that he's a good guy. I'm not saying that, what do I think about it. So when it comes to what do I think about different people, unless they're out there, beating their wives, or abusing one another, or anything like that, if they're nice, if they walk in love, joy, peace, patience, meekness, if they walk in the fruit of the Spirit, I'll accept them easier than I will if somebody's a jerk. If you're a jerk, then I will pray for you, and that's about it. But what do you mean by a jerk? Well, there's a lot of jerks out there. There's a lot of people that try to force their belief system on you, and then they themselves they act mean and cruel and rude and whatever. I don't have any time for them, honestly. Okay, here's a question: do you pray a rosary? I personally do not pray a rosary. I have a prayer rope, and I will use that in praying the Jesus prayer. I don't have an issue with those praying a rosary. It's just it's not my particular devotion. Okay. And he speaks of the differences in Orthodoxy and Catholicism. Yeah. And I don't know. He might, Dave Armstrong, I don't know. I hope he's a good guy. Let's see. He's an apologetic writer. I'm careful who I read their works. Yeah. I am too. It's interesting. See, and here's the thing. I lean towards Eastern Orthodoxy because it just makes the spirituality of Eastern Orthodoxy, it resonates with me. That's the best way that I can say it. I'm a musician, so when something resonates, it resounds. I'm a musician, so this whole legal system that we've inherited because of like the penal substitution theory or of atonement, that that stuff, and that this guilt and that the doctrine of original sin that has, then you have to have a what do you call it? You have to have an immaculate conception because their concept of original sin is different than it. So it's a lot of things that were added to that. I just like the simplicity of Orthodoxy. So that's just me. And am I, do I have a row? Do I have a row with the Roman Catholic priest? No, I don't. What's our main mission? Is it to do the corporate and the spiritual acts of mercy? Then that's what I'm good for. You've been trying to figure this thing out for Hey, Catherine, Therese, it ain't going to take you more than 2 weeks to figure this thing out. Okay? So that's why, like when you're going to RCIA, I'm not going to discourage anybody, especially if you're a member of the community of John Michael Talbot. I mean, I'm not, because he's well familiar with the Eastern Church Fathers. So my suggestions to you, since you're involved in that path, seek the wisdom that is given to you, because there's no reason why there can't be working together. Does that make sense? I mean, some people don't, and that's their choice. But, it's like some people, well, I can't pray with you because you're Roman Catholic. Well, I can't pray with you because you're Eastern Orthodox. Pooey on that. Pooey, pooey, pooey. Well, the church canon says you can't do it. Pooey. Go talk to your bishop. Seriously, folks. That's nuts. So, let's see. It was the I do like to hear from both sides. Well, absolutely. I mean, there's the Western Rite, there's the Eastern side, there's the Western Saints, there's the Eastern Saints, and there's there are things that I mean, there's a lot of wisdom on both in all areas. Okay, so most of the heresies came out of the Eastern Church. All right, so however, most of the other stuff came out of the Roman side. So everybody's got tares and wheat. Nobody's having any concerns over here on this other side. Hey, Yasmin, how you doing? Welcome. On the YouTube, I'm asking questions, and we're having this theological talk here. Okay, so any other questions? Use a prayer rope, great for me as a vegan with ADHD. A prayer rope is great, and it's absolutely good. So our rosary, you pray the rosary, that's fine too. The important thing is to the corporate. Here's something for you to look up. I'm going to type this in here. The corporal, C-O-R-P-O-R, corporal, and spiritual, S-P-I-R-I-T-U, spiritual, acts of, or works of mercy. I think it's works. Okay. Look that up. All right. Corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Look that up. And that is where I think that the church and where we should be living our lives. All right. That's it. Hey, it's been on here about 30 minutes. Time to go. It's about 9 o'clock here. And God bless you. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope I answered some questions and confused you some more. Didn't mean to if I did. And we will catch you tomorrow, God willing, 7:30 for morning prayer, and then we'll kick off with a Q&A afterwards as well. God bless you. And I look forward to a time when we can have some interacting going on some video talks, chats as well. Maybe we could do that some night if you're interested. Hey, I've got a group that make sure that you're a part of. And see if I can remember what it is. It's Facebook Morning Prayer Group. Okay? Make sure you're a part of that. And if you have anything to share on prayer, any nuggets that you find that would bless other people as far as prayer goes, you're more than welcome to post in there. And maybe we will have like a Zoom where we can have sometime in the evening, whatever. If anybody's interested in that, you can let me know. All right? God bless you. Have a fantastic day. Now may our great God, Father, for our Lord Jesus Christ, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit be upon you, be with you. May you go forth to love and serve one another. Amen.